Hello to all my Fox Hallow fam, and welcome to an extra special edition of Baking with Fox Hallow Kitchen. As always, I'm Todd, and joining me today and later on in the episode will be Dave as we bring you a supersized edition of the show. There's a saying that goes, go big or go home, and today's show is definitely next level. Today we're going to make pierogies, and come on, who doesn't love a good pierogi? Pillowed pockets of deliciousness? So good. So if you're ready, then let's have some fun.
First, let's make our dough. We're going to start with 1 egg lightly beaten. Let's throw this in the bowl here. To that, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sour cream. And just whip that a little bit until it's mixed. Then we're going to add 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of water, and 1 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to whip this up pretty good here. And once that's completely mixed together, we're going to add 5 cups of flour, just about 1 cup at a time. And just keep going with our fork. Alright, now that my dough is coming together, I'm going to start working this with my hands a little more. I just want to get it to where it's not sticky, still going to be pretty elastic, but it's more like a pizza dough at this point. It's just not going to rise. Next, I'm going to take it out of the bowl and throw it on the counter here on a floured surface, and just keep working it until it's no longer sticky. And just keep adding flour. Just fold it in half and in half again and in half again. And there we go. I think we're doing pretty good here. This is no longer sticky, but it's still pretty elastic. So I'm going to set this on the counter here and let it sit underneath the bowl for about an hour while we make our potatoes. I have about 3 pounds of potatoes here that have been peeled and quartered, and I've got them resting in some salt water. We're going to bring these to a boil. Alright, I've taken the potatoes up after 15 minutes and strained them. I like to keep them in the same pot because the heat will evaporate any moisture, and we're just going to mash them by hand, very carefully here. Just go to it. Oh, they're perfect. And as I mash them, I'm going to add a little more than a cup of cheddar cheese for our pierogies, and a little bit of milk, like half a cup to a cup. Just do whatever you feel is best. Get them to where they're creamy and smooth. And just keep mashing. And there we go. We're going to let these cool while we get our dough back together, and we're going to cut out our dough. All right, now that our dough sat out for an hour, I'm going to cut this into 4 pieces, more or less even, so we can work with a little bit at a time. Put a little flour on these ones and set them aside. And we'll just work with 1 piece at a time. All right, I'm going to take this piece and roll it out flat. Just keep turning it over and keep adding a little bit of flour to it to keep it from sticking. And we want to roll this out to where it's about 1/8 of an inch thick all around. It's pretty elastic, so it wants to stretch back when you roll it out. Just keep going until it's all stretched out. Now that I've got this rolled out to 1/8 of an inch thick, it's ready to cut.
Now let's go ahead and get our pierogies cut here. We're going to take our handy little ramekin here and cut out 3-inch circles, about as close as you can, and get as many as you can out of each dough here. Now that we got these cut, we're going to go ahead and set them aside and get ready to get them filled. Now we're going to add a scoop of potatoes to each one of the circles here.
Scoop, skip potatoes.
And then it's time to fold them.
We're going to carefully fold these together. Just pick it up in your hand like this. Fold it over like a little taco. And start pinching it off. The key here is you don't want to catch any potatoes in the pinch. So sometimes you have to push them back in, stretch the dough out a little bit, whatever you have to do to keep from catching the potatoes in the dough. And just pinch them all around. Sometimes you go over them a couple times just to make sure they're solid. And then set them aside. And do each one like that. And that's that. This batch is ready. We're just going to do that 3 more times. Now all that remains is to cook our pierogies. And to do that, we're just going to drop them in boiling water for a few minutes. The pierogies will sink to the bottom and then rise to the top. Just cook them about 2 to 3 minutes after they've risen to the top to make sure that they're nice and cooked. And now we're going to take them up. We'll just spoon them out here real quick and put them on a regular plate. Those look delicious. And there we are.
And now it's time for the all-important taste test. A good hint of butter, potato, cheddar. Awesome. Perfect for a good meal.
Wrapping up today, we want to thank you again for joining us and also encourage you to check out our friends over at Pepper Tree Villa and Glue La La. But before I go, I want to leave you with these words from Bruce Lee. If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. Thanks again, and we'll see you all soon.
If you like this video or any of our other videos,
Be sure to hit that like and subscribe buttons and stay tuned for future shows.